Hi, I'm Richard Wheeler, and this is Richard Wheeler Works. It's a Twitch stream, where I work, and hopefully I have some better Wi-Fi. I'm trying to get some better quality because we're working up to being able to do Fridays with Sean So, the CEO of the So Company, and doing a segment that I'm calling FBO Forever, which is about government acquisitions. I'm trying to understand how to make sense of solicitations that the federal government of the United States of America puts out for goods and services. So we'll be getting to that hopefully next week. But for the time being, we're going to continue with the If I Could See What You See project and looking at the, I guess, part 4 now of the project of trying to understand what is a surveillance reconnaissance patrols course from the British Army Royal Artillery 473 Sphinx Special OP Battery. That was a mouthful. So, just to catch up, of course, you can watch the previous episodes on YouTube. I'm going to get in a cycle where I post those on Monday on YouTube. You can watch Wednesday's episode on Twitch, in the last few weeks episodes on Twitch, but when things come off and they're no longer available there, you can find the full episode archive on YouTube. But to summarize where we're at now, we've been looking at Instagram posts from various British military units, including 473 Special Observer, Special OP, and the Royal Artillery, and all these other things. We've been taking these raw posts, as I'm calling them, extracting them from Instagram, copying out sources and images, and then putting that into a document to try to organize the information and understand what is this course, which is an essential course in becoming a special observer and supports the overall If I Could See What You See project, which is an open source photo surveillance pedagogy, right? Trying to understand surveillance, reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance through looking at training that we can understand through looking at material that is on the internet, open and free, as opposed to information which you would have to file a Freedom of Information request through government X, right? The idea of this project is that the practices of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance are visible, and you can piece together how the jobs are done through looking at the training, and you can piece together what the training is through looking at a whole range of information of armies and other organizations throughout the world. And we're looking at specifically Instagram here, and looking a lot at information that's released in support of unit recruiting, right? So one of the things we were doing at the end of last week was going through this series here, which are about different parts of this observation post construction, this SOP phase, which I just am calling part 3 here. This 3-week exercise aimed at teaching basic standard operating procedures. Candidates learn in depth about how to employ surface, subsurface, and urban observation posts. So we looked at, this post here was about surface. This post here was about subsurface, and this one I believe is about rural. Let's take a look. During Surface OP week, yeah. Let's open this in a new tab. Now, I did some training in 2017 with our company that's owned by former special observer, and did basically this a version of this Surface OP week training, and it's pretty cool. I gotta tell you, it's pretty cool. But that's something that is another part of this project, is understanding that, you know, part of this training we can understand through doing the work we're doing here, and looking at, let's see, subsurface, this is surface, looking at publicly available information. But there are also a lot of courses, and you know, this is different in different militaries. Oh wait, I should be doing the, have I been doing these raw posts? Okay. Hold please. Stick with the procedure here, Richard. Okay, and I seem to have, didn't I make a okay, sorry, this is all out of order. This should be, there we go. Okay. Sorry. Insert page break. You know, if I do much more of this, like this, I might have to build a database. You know, I know I was saying in the last one that, yeah, maybe it wasn't, it may be time for that. You know, it may just be like, enough is enough. Let's make a database. Because it's getting a little unwieldy. I mean, right now we're at, does it tell me how many pages there are? 30 pages, right, in this Google Doc. So it's starting to get a little unwieldy. And it doesn't have any lookup capabilities, right? I mean, it's not, we're at the edge of what we can do here, but we're going to keep doing it for now. Sure, where were we? Yes. Okay, so we've got this. Gonna put this in the description. Oops. Maybe. There we go. And we're going to, oh, that was the other one. We're going to copy this URL. It's been a little laggy here, this internet. Let's see. All right. And the date of that is May 31st, 2020. Okay. 2020 531. And we're going to get that image. You know, aside from just being thorough, you know, one of the things I'll show you in a later episode is actually trying to piece some of these images together, right? So we now know, a lot of times you'll see these images and you won't have any context for them. We know this is an image of an operator in a surface observation post, right? If we find enough of these, well, first of all, there's an example on the If I Could See What You See GitHub wiki that you can look at of looking at a Israeli Defense Forces propaganda video that one of our project collaborators, Jason Wong, took apart bit by bit and allowed us to look at setting up an urban observation post, right? So video, of course, you can find much, well, not of course, but you can sometimes find much more in video. But we don't always have access to video, right? So what if instead of, taking individual frames from video, you instead were essentially making a flip book from a bunch of stills like this, or not a flip book, but at least a collage or some sort of like comic book. And you're able to understand, all right, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, and so on. So that's part of what we're looking for, is a bunch of images that we can look at sequence, right? Copy URL, save images. So that's why I'm saving these images, so that I have them all in one place later to put back together and say, okay, how does this work? And, you know, another part of it is, so these are images about creating observation posts, but there's also a lot of stuff you can learn here about, camouflaging equipment or camouflaging the person, right? So there's multiple levels of it that you can start to take apart and use for different training elements. All right, so we have that. Hashtags, probably all the same hashtags that we've seen, right? We haven't gone through this in detail, but because this is all from it seems like the 473, the STA Patrols Instagram is pretty disciplined about hashtags. And we'll do the selectors later. All right, so we have all this. Let's go in, okay, during Surface OP week. And that's where we were here. Right, they all say this, that this phase assumes no previous knowledge. We'll just leave that in. Okay, and this, we're converting all this to that. Moving all these now, just all formatting, boring. Okay. the URL reference. All right. That was the 31st, 20200531. Oh, I can bring that back over. Okay. So, all right. So now we know a little bit more about surface observation posts. Deliberate and hasty rural surface observation posts. So we understand now that in this week we'd be learning two things. So at every stage, the curriculum emphasizes planning and orders. Combat estimate and orders. So there's a lot of understanding both how to take orders, but also create them and give them, right? Insertion and reconnaissance of the observation post. There's that, right? So some of this is the same activities. So we're seeing a generic pattern here, but that there would be specific considerations for different types of observation posts. Routine the observation post, subsequent taskings are compiled. I guess I could be like annoying and put sick there. All right. So really, this is the same stuff. Very little new here. It's just, written differently. Let's see if they say anything different than in urban, right? That's here. Yeah, this may be a bust in terms of description. Maybe it's the same description 3 times. Yeah, doesn't really tell us anything. It says withdrawal from the OP in an urban environment can be tricky. A lot of the skills that this unit developed around urban observation posts were gained in operations in Northern Ireland and then in Bosnia. But one thing we could do maybe, so right, one reason to use the images is to piece them together. Another thing we could be doing here, let's save this. Let's inspect this. Let's do a Google reverse image search with some of the stuff we found and see if it's used anywhere else. Because maybe that's going to show us something. Remember, I'm in the inspector panel here, and this is, I'm in Firefox. There's a similar view in Chrome. There's a similar view in Safari, whatever browser you're using. You can get here. Remember this little icon up here, I can flip it to a view that allows me to see what it would look like on a mobile device. Save this. You can't see that window pop up. I need another monitor. Get on that. Okay. So let's see. Copy URL. And what I'm going to do here is actually just images.google.com. I can't remember if I've used Google reverse image search yet, but you can do two things. One, you can paste the URL like I'm going to do. You can also just upload an image. And this is some powerful stuff. Although sometimes you get nothing. That's funny. Tripod. Well, great. But visually similar images. Now, I don't know how this works. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. No idea what's going on here. But what I'm assuming is that Google's using machine learning and looking for similar images. It depends. It works after a fashion. You know, if you upload a picture of a cat, it'll find other pictures of cats. If you load up a picture of a black and white cat, it'll find other pictures of black and white cats. You know, a lot of it's based on the training data, the ability. I mean, a lot of the effectiveness of the algorithms are based on the training data. So let's see what we get here when we upload this image of soldiers in an observation post. I mean, you'll see that the system knows how to find people who are wearing camouflage. And this is interesting, this one here. This is interesting to me because of the framing, right? Like here's an image of you know, there's soldiers in camouflage, and then there's this object in the, you know, this scrim to the rear of them, and then look at that compared to, you know, this image of you know, the Italian soldier climbing, right? You can see how stylistically they're similar. But that's not helping me learn anything about observation posts. Huh. Well, I'm interested in that for another reason. People inside a building. You know, it's interesting, right? Because if you look at these as just here's another one. Look at how much this one, in terms of the framing, does things that are very similar to the source image. We have soldiers inside buildings and some extreme framing, maybe, right? But nothing that's like, the images are similar. Stylistically, it's similar, but it's not similar in terms of theme or what they're doing. It is an interesting exercise, though, to do this and what's this? Huh. Throwable robots. So one thing you can do is, see, it said tripod. We don't want tripod, we want observation post, right? Okay, all right, I went too far. This is interesting. Look, these are some manuals that we could download. That's a different project. Do that another time. Let's go back to this screen. Let's go back through everyone I clicked on. All right. In this screen, if I, instead of letting it say tripod, I write observation post. So Google Image Search tries to guess what the word is, and it does visually similar images. Now, but if I say, no, I don't mean I do this actually, observation post or OP. Now the visually similar images are images that, well, see, this works a lot better, okay, because I already see an image from a YouTube video that's about observation posts, right? This one, going underground with the Scott's DG. So this is better, and this is on my list of things to watch, right? So, and okay, then this is interesting, right? 473 special observation post battery. So we're already in the zone where we should be. So, but let's compare that to if we just wrote observation post OP in Google Image Search. Like, I'm just trying to, say, well, why have the source image? Why not just write the words? Right? Observation post OP. And notice it didn't take my Boolean search. Boolean, tomato. All right, well, this is more the generic view that we... Ooh, that's interesting. Huh. Wait a second. Sorry, I'm on a tangent here because this is some equipment that I'm not sure if this is equipment that's supposed to be available. I don't know what Rhino Trade LLC is. Ooh. Ooh. Huh. This is interesting. Mm-hmm. This is legit military kit. Huh. Wow. Okay. $5,000. I mean, I don't know if you can figure out what the retail for this is. This company both makes surveillance equipment and provides surveillance training to the U.S. military, and it has a lot of courses that are. I don't know if its catalog is still available online. I had looked at some parts of it before, but this is absolutely real kit. Anyway, okay, leave that for later. There's another piece of it. So this is what you get if you just put in observation post OP in Google image search, which is useful, right? For sure. And then this was what it was, though, when you put in observation post OP and the reference image of an urban observation post. And so you can start to see a lot more, people in closed spaces and, people on operations, it looks like. Here's, right, an image that we've seen before. This is like an Instagram repost type of site. President Obama watching on patrol. Aha. Well, okay. This is interesting. Maybe. Got a lot of tabs open here. British Army on Twitter. Oh, crikey. So, remember, we were on Pinterest a while back, and I was saying that one of the reasons to sort of loop around like this is to find, is that, all the algorithms are different, and partly, the individual, algos are different, and then they interact with each other differently. So, I mean, just this page right here, like this image of itself, I don't know. This, are they camping? Are they making an observation post? All right, we'll figure that out. But look at all the stuff that we found in here that's related. British Army snipers of Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion, Royal Regiment of the Fusiliers scanned the area from their observation to post, right? On Pinterest. It's a hasty surface OP. British Army on Twitter. A soldier from the Ukrainian 21 Brigade receives lessons on observation post construction in Yaroviv, Ukraine, as part of the Recce Section Commander's course. The RSCC. That sounds like maybe a hashtag. I'm not sure. Okay, we'll go back to that. But that, right, here's somebody doing an OP course, and now we have a name of another course. Right, so that list of hashtags we have are some other courses that are related. And now we're maybe finding NATO courses, right? That's a whole British Army world. Now this is a shared world. Light Dragoons deployed in Poland, set up an observation post. Artillery exercises, Canadian Army basic sniper course, exercice tireur accompli. That's interesting. It's a French. Usually it's tireur d'élite, tireur longue distance. Oh, boring. What are the most effective ways to combat elite troops such as Navy SEALer? And here we go. Royal Artillery Reserves. Yeah. Oh, and here's somebody in an OP. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this this is pretty, but you see how it like starts to spider out now. Right now, it's like I could go onto a whole uh, a whole mission of going piece by piece through all of these and saving each one and saving the link. Right. I mean, yeah, I might do that. For sure, I'll do that. Right? Because this one also looks like it's got stuff. You know, he's in a hasty OP. It's got a, something about field of fire. So a lot of this is not South Korean flag yoga mats. What is anyway? But yeah, on Facebook now. Here's an observation post. Australian Army soldiers from the Pilbara Regiment, which is a observation regiment that patrols vast swaths of the northwestern regions of Australia, Combined Reserve Active Duty Regiment, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, whoa, what is this? Some huge optic. Never seen that. This is interesting, though. This is you see this sometimes. You see this a lot. I find this very fascinating. Like, it's the repurposing of equipment that was made for one type of warfare for another. So the 473 unit itself was made for a Cold War mission that no longer exists. It was made to be a stay-behind unit that would dig underground, wait for the Soviets to roll over them. This is all in Germany. And then go to observation posts, sight Soviet and Warsaw Pact artillery units for destruction by Allied, British regiments, NATO regiments, and artillery. And but that mission the unit was formed in 1982. The wall came down in 89. So just barely into getting the unit off the ground, the mission went away. And they were adapted for other things. And this is a similar example of, you can barely see that image, of that taking place because it's this is something for, I don't know, some armored vehicle mission or something. I don't know. So this is a whole nother. We've looked at YouTube, we've looked at Instagram. Now we're looking at Google Images. We've looked at Pinterest. Each one of them brings up a different view. There is no one source. There is no one tool to use to piece this together. But all this like light dragoons stuff that we're seeing, I'm definitely going to look at this, because they're still British Army. They're making observation posts. Are they as skilled as the 473 soldiers? No. Are they going through the same training that the 473 soldiers are going through? No. But there are generally standard operating procedures that will remain common for all units within the British Army, and we'll learn something about that. Op banner, Northern Ireland, close observation, surveillance print. Okay, that's an interesting. Ooh, what is that unit? It's a Badger. in an observer. Huh. There's something there. Yeah, look at this though. See, so you might look at this and say, "Oh, this is silly. Why would I look at this? This is cartoonish," you might say. I don't know, just from an aesthetic point of view. But then when you look at the links to it, yes, close observer, close observation, whatever. These are paras or SAS. Oh, close observation platoon. So this is a so this is a whole. Uh-huh. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here's a guy in a car taking pictures. Ex-soldier is offering his expert surveillance skills with his private investigation company in Cumbria. Boom. And so this is how, as I was saying, if you wanted to, you've done all this work, you're like, cool, 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 but I've only learned so much looking at stuff on Instagram and YouTube and Google. I'd like to, how would I get this training? Go here, go to this news article in Cumbria, which you would never find another way. I mean, if you know, this is a deep hit to find. Like, if you said like surveillance training, you would never find this. Right? And now we have a name of Darren Wilson from Kendall, who was a covert operative for 8 years in the British Army. Well, there we go. Right? Hired out as a private investigator, I'm sure he would train you. I've had people like this train me. So we've been doing this about 4 hours. About 4 hours, I'd say. Maybe 5. So you count lunch breaks and coffee breaks, bathroom breaks, and zoning out breaks. It's a day's work. We've done, all together, about a day's work. And we had, I think you'll recall, found an FOI document, Freedom of Information Act document, that had been, I found on another site. I think, What Do They Know? It's called, like an aggregator of Freedom of Information requests in the UK that describes this course, this, SRPC. So what I think we're going to do in our next, and let's say final episode of this little, what is the SRPC, and then we'll go on to something else just to keep it fresh. We can look and say, how did we do, right? I won't go through the research that I've done and like write up a memo, but we can do a little bit of, well, or maybe we should do that now. How much time do we? Yes, let's do it now. Let's do it live, right? Let's do it live. So let's go over to preview here, and we've got some images up, but let's open up that PDF if we can find it. Let's see what we've, no, that's not what I want. Mm-hmm. 2 different places, huh? All right. Okay. Oh, let's see. Oh, you can't see it. All right. What if I do this? Ah. All right. 1 page at a time. 1 page at a time. Oh, there's 7 pages. All right, hold on a second here. Let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. Okay. So, this is what we're comparing it. So we're comparing a day of looking at Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest and really just Instagram, right? Versus a freedom of information request, which could take a long, long time, which would get you these defense instructions and notices. Not to be communicated beyond crown servants and government contractors without authority. So controlled, not secret, but controlled. So volunteers for 473 Sphinx Special OP Royal Artillery. Well, we know what that is. We've seen that on Instagram. Audience, all service personnel. All right. Replaces something. That's interesting, right? We might Google that too. We haven't seen anything about this document in our research. That in and of itself is not known. Training education, right? This DIN provides details of the SRPC and procedures through which tri-service volunteers, both regular and reserve, may apply to serve in the 473 Sphinx Special OP Battery. Let's see, contact. Well, we don't know who that is, but we know how to reach all these organizations, right? We have their email addresses and phone numbers. Okay, details of the SRPC and procedures through which regular tri-service volunteers may apply. Volunteers who successfully complete the SRPC will be assigned to the battery for 24 months. I didn't necessarily call that out, but I think you may remember that we've seen that in passing. This part, Catterick, was in an Instagram post. It didn't necessarily say Marne Barracks. Now, whether or not if you Google British Army Catterick, there's anything other than Marne Barracks, we would have to figure out. Upon successful completion, retain their parent unit identity. That was noted in terms of beret and cap badge and things. I don't know what that means. This is some British Army acronym. Do your posting. Career courses. I don't know what that means. I think that, yeah, that may mean something about, you belong to one organization and there's stuff you have to do in order to get promoted, and can you still do that? That's what I'm guessing that is. Okay, role provides surveillance and target acquisition patrols for Commander 1 Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Brigade. All right, that wasn't really stated anywhere. That we hadn't learned yet. I wonder, can I... Sorry, I'm going to actually look at a copy and see if I can highlight what we... All right. So, things I said. We didn't know this. Let's highlight that in yellow. We didn't know this, which is important. This is kind of important. This we didn't really, it was never laid out. I mean, it's, right, like there's an economy of force with language, right? You could maybe, it makes sense to you, I hope, that SDA patrols regularly operate at range and in close proximity to the target through what we've seen. You might, and I might not be able to really put it like that, but when I read that, I say, yeah, that's what I just saw. Six-man teams. We didn't see that before, did we? That's important when you're thinking about training, because think about So think about this, observation posts. There's 6 people in that observation post, right? So that tells you something about size. That tells you something about the amount of equipment, right? So this we knew, static covert surveillance, although we didn't know, this term wasn't used anywhere that we saw. Evidential quality stills photography. I mean, these are clearly terms that mean something, right? I could say we started, right, with the image here of, remember, just way, way back, the first image we saw was, right, this guy with this massive lens, which I did check. This costs $15,000. This is an expensive lens because it's a prime. It's like an 800 millimeter prime from Nikon. I mean, you're not going to get this cheap, even from a Sigma or something like that. So anyway, this is where we started, and I could definitely say that this is long range photography, and I definitely say that needs to be accurate or something. But I don't know. I would not know to say this expression, evidential quality stills. Beyond line of none of this, right? So yeah, this is pretty useful, right? I think you're starting to see now where the holes are in what we've learned. None of this. None of this. I mean, you might guess it's artillery, GMLRS, guided missile light rocket system, long range something. Ooh. Manned aerial surveillance and reconnaissance. This is that, that is... Did we capture that one here? The guy in the plane? Can't remember now. Maybe. We looked at it, but maybe I didn't copy it out. We've got quite a bit here. Like, don't get me wrong, but observation post. It's a cat. Right, like that is this. Is what they say mobile air surveillance here is in that DIN what they're calling manned aerial surveillance and reconnaissance. Temporary landing zone. So this is, this is, so the training is to be able to perform the role, and you can back out some of the training, some of the role from the training, but not entirely. I mean, yeah, I don't think we really saw this. Definitely didn't see anything about temporary landing zones. And this is interesting, using crew-served weapons. Because this tells you something about the level of weapons training, and so that tells you, and again, I'm not interested in the weapons part of it, I'm interested in the surveillance part of it, but if it's a 13-week course and you're trying to understand how much of that course is going towards some of these surveillance tasks, then you can back out, okay, well, how much has to go into the weapons training? What does that leave left? And so crew-served weapons means things like machine guns and mortars and recoilless rifles and weapons like the Carl Gustav, and just things that are like a little heavier, right? Take more than one person, not small arms, light arms. They are light, small, whatever, but they're anyway. Takes more than one person. It's a crew, obviously. Why did I just explain all that? Right. So if you're assuming that these are people who come from everywhere, including the Navy, some sailor who's never fired, maybe they fired some kind of rifle in training, but they've never fired this stuff, and they're certainly not operational with it. So that's not a half a day of training, right? That's not like, oh, here's some familiarization. It's like you got to know how to shoot the thing and take it apart and put it back together and clean it and all this stuff. I think they talk about SEER training in the follow-on. SEER survival, evasion, and resistance and escape. Security clearance and medical. All standard operating procedures required to operate within DA patrols are top practice evaluated in the 13-week SRPC. Mm-hmm. Right, so this is some of the stuff. Yeah, I don't think we really knew about the HF and VF communications. I don't know if they said the medical training. Just live fire tactical training, that was mentioned. Okay. Good. XXXXXX. You never know. Maybe they screwed that up. Oh, hey! Remember the question we had about how many times it runs? It runs 3 times a year. So we were pretty close. Well, we knew that was part of the range possibilities. Right? We knew that. You could do it again. Office services. Officer candidates will be loaded onto the course by RA officer wing when troop commander appointments become available. Yeah, we didn't know any of this. I don't know if I know what any of that means. We knew this, that they had to take that. Did not know this. And we knew about quad bike operator and SEER level C. I don't know what ERE stands for. Ah! Good. We figured out what this is. Delivered a 2-week mandatory pre-course training package. Mm-hmm. All right. Does that mean something in Latin? What is Latin? So, just for the sake of... All right. Let's just assume they properly redacted things. Do 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 do. Alrighty. Oh, whoa. All right. Okay, so let's go back here. Sort of. I think there's other stuff we missed, obviously, but I'm just looking at the amount of, yellow in here generally. Yeah, this page is like mostly we didn't get. But, and all right, so it's a form. Like this doesn't, I'd say there's about five, really like four pages of useful stuff, and 1.5 of those we weren't really able to get. So I'd say about 2.5 pages. We got close, so maybe half to half, 50%, 60% we were able to get just looking at Instagram. Sounds like a day of work to me. It's Richard Wheeler. It's been Richard Wheeler Works. Thanks. See you next time.